What's going on, YouTube? It is your boy Too Brazy, and we are here with the 10-minute drop fade tutorial. Make sure you subscribe and turn on those post notifications so that you get notified when I drop some more heat like this. Also follow me on Instagram at 2brazyofficial_. And I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor at 2Brazy Apparel. Make sure you go cop some merch and use my code 2Brazy for 25% off right now. But we gonna hop straight into this video, man. Let's get it. First things first, you want to give the hair a good comb through to make sure that it's clean, and also just to see what you're going to be working with. Next, you want to go in with your clippers, no guard, lever closed, and here you want to start to create that initial guideline. So with this guideline, you don't want to go up too high because again, this is a drop fade, not a high fade. So I like to keep it even or below the base of the eyebrows. And then once I get behind that ear, start to drop it behind the occipital bone to start to give it that drop effect. And you also want to make sure that you go in and clean up any excess hair that your clippers could not get. I like to use my Andy shavers to give it that nice, clean, and bald look. And I found that this ultimately helps the end result when it comes to the blend and making sure that fade has a nice transition. Next, you want to go in with your clippers, no guard, lever open. And here you want to start to create that second guideline. You only want to go up about ½ an inch, no more than 3/4 of an inch, and make sure that you're keeping it parallel with that initial guideline that you just created. Next, you want to go in with your 1/8 guard, lever closed, and here you pretty much want to do the same thing that you just did, flicking up and out at about ½ an inch or 3/4 of an inch above that second guideline, making sure that you're keeping it parallel all the way around so that you can make it as simple as possible when it comes to that blend. Then you want to go in with your clippers, no guard, lever closed, and at this point we want to start to attack that initial guideline. You also want to make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on the head, nor are you flicking up too high into the haircut because you don't want to take this fade higher. You really just want to start to getting rid of these lines so that we can start to see a blend coming through. Next, you want to go in with your clippers open halfway, and here we're following the exact same steps, doing the same thing, just starting to go in and lightly flick out at the base of that guideline, not going up too high, not putting too much pressure on the head, but just slowly eliminating the bulk at the base. Here you want to open your clippers fully and follow the same steps and just start to flick up and out towards that second guideline that we created earlier with our 1/8 guard. And at this point, I want to remind you to always make sure that you're adjusting your clippers as needed so that you can go back in and clean up any dents or dark spots that you may have left while bringing this fade together. And I always like to make sure that when I'm doing this, I go in and use the corner of my clippers and not the full blade, just to make sure that I am not cutting too much hair or taking the fade up any higher. I really just want to target those dark and dense areas that I was not able to get while blending that fade. I went ahead and switched back to my magic clips simply because I'm going back in to attack that initial guideline, and my magic clips are actually adjusted to cut a little bit closer to the skin, so I always like to go back in with these and start to clean up the base foundation of that initial guideline to make sure that this fade has a smooth transition from skin to fade. Next, you want to grab your 1/16 guard and you want to close the lever all the way. And here we want to start to attacking that second guideline that we created. So from here, we're going to follow the same steps we did with no guard and just lightly start to flick out at the base of that second guideline so that we can start to bring this fade together. So, my clippers did die, but that is also why it's very important to make sure that you do have a set of backup clippers on hand, because it does happen. I mean, when you're working with wireless clippers, you know, you're not constantly connected to a power source, so it happens. And from here, we're really just staying steady and consistent, opening and closing the lever as needed, making sure that we're targeting all those dark and dense areas so that we can ultimately see this blend start to come together. Also, don't be overly concerned if you're not able to get the cleanest transition right away, because you can always come back at the end and clean up anything you missed. And after I've completed those steps, I want to grab my 3/8 guard closed, and from here start to remove some of the bulk at the top by flicking out at the parietal ridge. And after I've done that, I want to grab my 1.5 or my 3/16 guard and really just start to attack that last guideline. And just make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on the head, but that you're flicking up and out, because you don't want to dig into the fade to the point to where it starts to cave in. That also explains why I started to fade down here, so that I'm just being assured that I'm not going higher up on this fade, but that I'm ultimately just bringing the blend together without taking the fade higher. And of course, you want to go back in here with your 1/8 guard fully open, just to clean up any of that bulk that your 3/16 guard could not get. And here I go in with my thinning shears using my clip over comb method. And this is pretty much to remove any of the bulk at the top of the haircut that I couldn't get with my clippers. And this ultimately makes a smooth transition from fade to the hair at the top of the head. Next, we're going to get into the lineup, and the main thing that I would like to tell you when lining someone up is just to make sure that you're keeping it as natural as possible. You don't have to dig into the hairline or push the hairline back to give it that sharp and crisp look. You really just have to knock out those hairs that are overlapping the natural hairline, and it'll ultimately bring out a sharp look at the end. And of course, my phone died. But here's the final result. Make sure you drop a comment below, man, and let me know what you guys think of this fade. I truly like it, and I believe that this fade turned out nicely, but I'm gonna let you guys be the judge of that. Other than that, thanks for watching, and if you found this video valuable, please make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so that you don't miss out when I drop some more heat like this.